Okay, hi everyone. My name's Daniel Fox. I look after marketing at Mercury. I'm going to stand in these donuts at some point. We are champions of digital transformation in the recruitment and talent acquisition area. So we help recruiters find perfect candidates. And at the moment, those candidates are unicorns. They're actually really hard to find. The reason that they're hard to find is you don't need to sort of log on to any news channel at the moment and you'll see that there is a shortage of candidates. There's a shortage of workers out there at the moment. There's a lot of vacancies and not enough people to fill them. And that's because in this country we have a labour, skills and a talent shortage. Okay, labour, we just don't have people working in hospitality, enough people working in hospitality, construction, agriculture, just bums on seats type jobs. We don't have enough skills out there. Skills are like the people in this room. People who have got a particular skill, they've a qualification, it's developers, it's accountants, it's nurses, doctors, that type of thing. We have a real shortage in this country. And then there's the talent aspect as well. And that's those skilled people who have a particular niche. So it's someone who has done M&A or particular growth, international expansion, multilingual activities, something like that. It's those niche markets that we're also struggling in. And there's a number of different reasons that it's really so sort of incredibly hard to find that right talent, but it is across every industry and every market that we operate in. There are record numbers of vacancies at the moment. So it's hard for any businesses. It's hard for you to find colleagues, to find developers, people to fill your teams, and it's hard for recruiters to do the same thing as well. And our job is to extend the reach of those recruiters. There's a number of reasons why we're in this candidate shortage at the moment. Back in the 60s came the contraceptive pill, and that had a massive impact on birth rates. There it is there. 1967 it was available in the UK widely, and birth rates dropped off as a result. We have fewer people in the workplace today than we did 40 years ago. And that's having an impact. Brexit has had an impact. Whichever way you voted, whatever your politics are on it, a lot of European nationals have gone home, and other European nationals aren't coming over anymore to replace them. And in some industries, that's as much as 30% of the workforce. So it's causing a real problem. And as the charts there show, there's been a massive decline in the number of European nationals available to work in the UK. People have changing attitudes to work. There are lots of people now who are in their sort of 40s and 50s who are thinking, do I really need to be working 5 days a week at this? Can I opt out and go and do something else? Can I go and work in B&Q without any stress and without any worry? Or can I go and do 3 days a week working as a consultant and probably earn more money than I was earning doing 5 days a week anyway? So that's changing. People who are coming through, leaving college and university, their attitudes to big business is very different nowadays. You know, they don't see big business as a force for good. They're seeing people like Nike and child labour, they're seeing Starbucks not paying taxes, and they're thinking, do I really want to work for these companies? No, I want to go and work freelance and pick and choose who I work for. And then finally, the way we work is different now as well. You know, and COVID and the pandemic has been the catalyst for this now. If you want to sit at home, in your pants, in the dark, working, there's probably a job for you. Right? There is a job for you out there. People are looking for that. So, you know, and... oh, only fans again. But the way that we work is now different, okay? So that's making it's making it a more competitive marketplace. We've got fewer people to choose from, and they're being more choosy about where they work. So finding the right people is much more difficult. So we get to the question of how do we find those unicorns? How do we find those right people and that right talent? And how do we help our customers and people like yourselves find the right colleagues and so on? So we're going to introduce Alison, who is one of our clients.
Alison. Woo. Hi, I'm Kiki. Would you like to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you work with Mercury?
Yes, I feel like this is blind date now. So hi, my name's Alison, for the two people here that don't already know me. And hi. And I am a specialist recruiter for business application space. And I've been using Mercury since 2015, I think, yeah. So the difference that Mercury makes if you're a recruiter, and like I have a slightly different perspective because I am an external or agency recruiter, but a lot of you guys also are looking to recruit internal teams into your business, right? And the difference that Mercury makes for me versus every other recruitment CRM that I've tried, and I've tried a lot in the 25 years I've been recruiting, is that it enables me through the tools that they have built onto their CRM using Power Platform to be able to double up on the work I do in finding, sourcing candidates, doing outreach to people in the community, being able to identify connections to connections and stuff, and I think Dan's going to do a session on that, and to be able to manage those people through an application process, because I think that certainly there's at least 3 or 4 people I can see in this audience that know getting people through your internal application process is somewhat of a challenge, right? But that's where Mercury comes in, is because they have various tools built into the system that enables you to be able to bring people in an organized fashion through your internal recruitment process. Does that make sense? Is that what you wanted to hear from me?
I want to talk about relevance as well. A lot of recruitment software out there, you parse a CV, you extract the data that you want from it, you then code that applicant to the right job. And it's a very manual process, and we're automating a lot of that stuff. But what we're putting into it, into that structured data, is relevance. Okay, so if someone was a JavaScript developer 15 years ago, we're not going to want them for that role today necessarily, because they've moved on in their career, they're doing something else. They may have been promoted away from being a developer into an architect now. So the relevance of their job and their history is of vital importance. And I think Alison would agree that actually what you don't want is a list of 500 people who have all used C# on their CV, when actually you want the people who are doing it today, who are in the market and ready to use it today. So we're looking at the data and how we structure that and how we give people the relevant candidates, and those that are actually looking right now are in the right market right now.
Yeah. So if you've ever searched for someone, let's say you wanted to hire a Power Platform developer, and you go, I'm going to go and do a search on LinkedIn and look for something, and you're going to get like thousands and thousands of results, right? But what those results don't tell you is how relevant that person's experience is, because they may have mentioned Power Platform somewhere on the bottom of their profile, but they still come up in your search results, and if they're connected to a lot of the same people you are, they'll be higher up in your results. However, because Mercury have a parsing system that pulls the data through and analyzes it in terms of relevance, what will happen is if Nicole has done 4 jobs, 3 were in Power Platform and 1 was in Oracle, and it's Power Platform, Oracle, Power Platform, Power Platform, and then Chris has done 4 jobs in Power Platform and Oracle, and it's Oracle, Power Platform, Power Platform, Power Platform, then Nicole's results will be higher up on that search because she's more relevant, but she's obviously more relevant in life in general. So, So it's just systems imitating life, really. Does that make sense? Question? Yes. There's a parsing system called Dijkstra, and it pulls through the profile information or CV information, and then it grades all of the relevant skills, and it will give each skill a higher rating depending on how recently it's on their profile. It's very cool. Like when you're searching, it's fantastic when you're searching, because literally it will give you the most relevant results at the top. And you can see how it works, because sometimes you get people who have more hits for keywords on their CV, and so you think they're more relevant. But when you actually analyze the results and they've come in order, sometimes people put a lot of keywords on their CV, right? And so it looks like they're more relevant, but they're not. and Dijkstra will put the data in a structured way that makes it look, that brings the most relevant people in terms of actual experience to the top of the search. So, yeah. That's a great looking question. I'm going to say, did you hear that at the back? Are CVs relevant today? I'm going to say no. I would prefer not to use them at all. But we do deal with a lot of internal recruitment teams who are quite old school, and they have to have some means of tracking. I mean, I would prefer not to have anything, but you have to have some means of getting people through. But that's what we need to change, right? And that's where the Power Platform and what the guys at Mercury are doing is going to drive things forward, is to be able to pull us away from those old school recruitment techniques. Nice. Any further questions? Yeah.
Thank you. So, Alison, you're a big part of the whole Microsoft community. Your role is about building networks and connections and that sort of thing. And that's a very personal thing. It's a very personal thing for recruiters and for all of us in the room. But again, we're faced with a challenge now of how do we scale that? How do we roll that out for recruiters across their whole talent acquisition function? And how do we automate that? And how do we present that in a digital format? And the answer right now is we don't, because the system's not live. I'll be totally transparent. So what we've built here is we are looking at the data and we're looking at who has worked where and who else has worked in those business, and we're connecting those things up. So we're able to see who works with who's had, who's worked for and with other people within our database and within the searches that we're doing. Quite often people move together, or they want to work with former colleagues, or they bring in different skill sets. So we're able to match all of that data, looking both at their history, at their skill sets, at the location, and we start to pull all of that together so that we can then say, okay, we've got Steve here. He used to work at O2. He worked with Rajesh and Viren. And then when we go to Viren, we can look and see, right, what are his connections, and we can start to build and map the market that way. Okay, so it's almost sort of automating and digitizing those human relationships.
So I just want to add on to that. Like, in a real-world example, if it doesn't immediately strike you how relevant this is, we started at the beginning of the presentation by saying that it's a very high-demand market. I looked on LinkedIn this morning for the purposes of my session later. There are over 2,000 Power Platform jobs advertised on LinkedIn alone today, right? And all of the people on LinkedIn who are Power Platform guys are getting, on average, 7 recruiter outreach approaches per week, right? So if you don't already know these people that you're trying to approach, you don't stand a chance. You literally don't stand a chance if you don't already have a relationship. So by having this visual of who knows who, it enables you to approach people that are already part of your network. As in, I've just hired Bob into my organization. Bob works for us. Would you enjoy working with Bob again? Or even going to Bob and saying, Bob, I can see that you're connected to these 5 other people that we would also be interested in. Do you feel like having a conversation with them about coming to work here? And it's in this market, in this candidate-driven marketplace, it's by far and away the quickest and most efficient way to get to good talent, if that makes sense.
It works.
It works.
It works. Woo!
So things move around.
I don't even know where we are.
Oh dear. Who's looking for a job?
Yeah. Yes. Out of you amazing people, who is looking actually for a job right now? Okay, keep those people in mind, Alison. Okay, so there's take a picture, keep your hands up. No, I'm joking. Okay, but Dan, I've got a question for you. What about the people that didn't have their hands up? What are we going to do with them when they want to look for a job, when they're ready to go into the market?
How do you know when you're ready? That's the good point. There's a couple of people put their hand up when they said, are you looking for a job? Some of you aren't looking for a job and don't really know whether you're ready yet, and you're not ready to raise your hand. And for people like Alison, that's the people that she wants to understand is where are you in that process, and when are you going to be ready to raise your hand, so that she's ready to make that connection with you and start putting those right opportunities in front of you. Now, when you think about the data that we're holding, we have people's CVs, we've got their career history, we know what they want to be doing. We've got dates, we've got companies, we've got skills. We can use the predictive analytics within the systems in order to look at what is the average tenure in a particular role. So we can start to predict when people are likely to move. If we know that people usually stay in this role for 2 years, then at the point they get to 18 months, Alison then knows that these candidates are likely to start to be looking again. We're looking at skills. As people acquire certain skills and they're adding that to their CV or to their LinkedIn profile, well, they're building their skills. They're going to be ready for a move soon. So we're ready to predict that sort of stuff. We can also see changes in the company. When a lot of people leave a business, other people start to follow as well. When people join a company, they often will recruit their own teams, or they'll want to start building their own teams themselves. So that's a business now that's ripe for recruiting more people. So what we're doing is we're using the structured data that we're holding in a more intelligent way and using those predictive analytics so that we can predict when you are likely to want to raise your hand and be ready for a move. That's it.
Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or anything? We are serving the recruiter market at the moment. This software is available, and we will be rolling that out to the internal recruiter market as well. So every business out there, this is the direction we're going. So we can put this in the hands of talent acquisition people and recruiters that work internally. So you don't need to go to a recruitment agent if... Yeah, so just to close it out, we've got to stand just the other side of the other theatre hall, just the other side of this. So come over and say hi. We've got donuts, we've got all sorts of giveaways and things. So please come and have a look at what we can offer. And we can also book in and arrange demos for you as well. So you can see this stuff. You can see the rich LinkedIn integration that we've got, how we can find and source more candidates for you. And we can show you some of this stuff as well about how you can look at those networks. And explore that in more detail, plus a really great recruitment workflow as well. So yeah, just give us a shout and we'd love to show you the software. Thank you.
Thank you.